I'm the Group CTO for Naked Wines. We're a direct-to-consumer wine business.
Azita Esmaili, I have been in technology for over 2 decades.
I'm Richard Davies. I'm the CEO of Allica Bank.
I'm Vicky. I'm the CTO at Zego. We're a London-based insurtech in the mobility space.
I'm Tony Healy. I am Group CIO at an organisation called Mobica.
I invest in technology companies. So I'm a general partner at a fund called Kindred Capital here in London.
How do we balance sustainability in a new digital era? That's our question.
Digitalization so far, unfortunately, as you mentioned, hasn't really impacted sustainability positively.
On that front, we see a lot of that on the hardware side is like, how do you make the supply chain sustainable? But then we're also seeing it as a category of its own to invest in, which I probably should also say is like, we're looking at companies that are trying to, have an impact on society and trying to make it a better world.
Managing interteam relationships in a remote world.
One of the practical things we've done is just to introduce check-ins at the top of meetings. 10 minutes. How is everybody? What does the world look like to you at the moment before we delve into the transactional nature of whatever meeting or one-to-one it might be?
You need to find a balance, because when is too much video too much and when is too little too little? It's not every meeting should be a video call. Not every, back-to-back Zoom meetings, Teams meetings, whatever they are draining on people. So it's finding a fine balance. And then the whole onboarding process of new people, coming on board, how can we make them more inclusive? Not just getting a box in the post with your laptop and, a screen or a docking station is great, but what's the process? How can I feel engaged?
This is no big deal, I can do it, it's fine. But recognizing that none of my current teams have ever worked in that way. So it's no good me going, I've got this. I've got to think how they're feeling. So getting our empathy shoes on with our team is pretty important as a leader there. The balance of regulations, right? Should we be suppressing technology? Does it crush innovation?
Forcing open data across in all industries is generally a very good thing in my view. And yes, that'll force a lot of change business model, but I think that is, those business models are bad if they rely on exploiting private customer data.
And there's certain sectors like, I've invested in crypto and Bitcoin companies, and a lot of those founders have told me over the years that like having an absence of regulation is actually much worse than having no regulation, because if you don't even know where the lines are, you don't know where to color.
One of the key things is that regulatory bodies need to be working more with the businesses, because the regulation can't keep up with the speed of change of technology.
What, as technology leaders or for others, what would you look for in your technology leaders? How do we need to prepare for that ever-changing job specification?
I think as leaders, we are being pushed more to the forefront to be accountable for the impact of technology in the world, in companies, on commercial targets. And for me, that is where the role is, I've noticed it become far more prevalent in that arena.
The CTO is almost like the overall enterprise architect, the person that really makes sure the thing comes together across those squads is quite imperative. I saw Vladi Senko do that at Revolut unbelievably well with 55 or whatever it was squads running in parallel, and somehow keep the whole thing having some sense of alignment and coherency. I think it's a really I think it's a critical role and has massively changed in the last few years from what I've seen.
CTOs have developed over the years from being, purely focused on engineering to now being able to actually go out and hold conversations with customers and, lead teams and things like that. And I think that they've naturally progressed, from being a senior dev to being, much more, I'm a business owner, I have business accountability and responsibility.
Banks and fintechs really, as there are two things, they're people and they're data.
So as the digitalization progresses, majority of the CIO functions are being managed by machines. One thing or not, the end game of enterprise digitalization is really everything being managed software as service, by cloud, by augmented intelligence.
We've seen this trend where it used to be that everyone sold to the CTOs, and now we're seeing where it's developer first change. So you're seeing all these movements where basically developers can just put the code in and you've used a product.